So my dear devotees, what is the theme of tonight again? The opposite of love. What is the opposite of love? Hate. Hate, my dear devotees, is one of the most disruptive, corruptive, destructive words to ever exist. Feelings to ever exist. What is hate? Very simple. Hate is the weakest emotion or the weakest feeling ever. When you are filled with hate, or when people are filled with hate, it simply means that they are failing in their duty and they are failing their own selves. And devotees, why do people hate? Why do people hate you? Or why will someone hate another person? Remember this. When someone hates, they hate for one of three reasons. When someone hates, they hate you because they see you as a threat. When someone hates, they hate you because they hate their own selves. Or when someone hates, they hate you because they think that you are better than them. They think that you are better than them. Those are the three reasons people hate. They see you as a threat, they hate themselves, or they simply see that you're better than them. But in the world we live in today, it's all three. It's all three. And I'll break down hate for you in a very simple manner. Very, very simple. So be very attentive. A school teacher, she went into her classroom and her class was filled with 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. And she said, "Children, I want to ask you a question. How many of you sitting right here, right now in this class, can say you dislike someone, or you hate someone, or you envy someone, or you are jealous of someone? Raise your hands." And all the little children, they raised their hands. 8 years, 9 years. The teacher said, "Wait, are you all sure? Are you all sure you have a dislike within yourself for someone? Are you all sure that you hate, or you're angry, or jealous, or you're envious of someone?" They said, "Yes, miss." The teacher was shocked. She said, "Okay." She said, "Let us play a game." So the children said, "All right." She said, "When you go home this evening, take a bag and let that bag be filled with potatoes. Each potato will represent the one person you hate. Example, if you hate one person, your bag will have one potato. If you hate 2 people, your bag will have 2 potatoes. If you hate 3, your bag will have 3 potatoes." So the children said, "Okay." They went home, they got their bag, and they put their potatoes. They came back to school the next morning, and the teacher was expecting to see their bag maybe have 1 potato, maybe 2 potatoes for the most. But when they came, my dear devotees, these little children, their bags were filled with about 4 or 5 potatoes, representing the 4 or 5 people they have hate towards, or they have little anger or jealousy or envy towards. The teacher was absolutely shocked. She said, "Children, for 1 week, I want you to carry your bags of potato wherever you go. If you go to the mall with your parents, carry the bag of potatoes. If you go to the playground, carry your bag of potatoes for 1 whole week. And next week, we will discuss." So the first day, things gone nice. Second day, things going good. Third day, fourth day. Halfway through the 5th day, some of the students, they started to complain that 1 or 2 of the potatoes started to become rotten. Other students started to complain that the bag was a little heavy. Other students started to complain that people would laugh at them and would point at them when they see them walking with a bag of potatoes. So they came back and they started to complain to the teacher. They said, "Miss, we don't like this game. People are laughing at us. People are pointing their fingers at us. People are mocking us. The potatoes are becoming rotten and they are so heavy. We don't like this game anymore." So the teacher, she looked at the children and she smiled. She said, "Children, if you cannot carry a bag of potatoes with you for 1 week because it is becoming rotten or it is being too heavy or people are laughing at you, imagine how rotten and toxic your heart and your mind is when you carry hate within you for your entire life. If you cannot carry a bag of potatoes for 1 week because it is becoming rotten and toxic, imagine how rotten and toxic you are on the inside." And people who have hate or possess hate and they bottle up that hate and that anger, that jealousy, devotees, slowly but surely they are rotting on the inside. And when you start to rotten on your inside, eventually it will start to show on the outside. Hate is something we cannot run from. We cannot escape. People will hate. People will hate. You can do the best thing in the world, Panditji, and people will find a way to criticize it. You can sing the most beautiful bhajan in the world, people will find a way to say someone else can sing it better. People will always show that negativity. They will always show that little bit of anger, that little bit of jealousy, that little bit of greed, that little bit of ego, that little bit of envy, that little bit of hate. No matter who you are, you can be the best or you can be achieving and climbing your way to the best. You cannot avoid hate. We all have what we call as haters. You all know what haters stand for? How do you spell haters? What is the first letter in the word haters? Baap re baap. H. Very good. H stands for having. What is the second letter? A. A stands for anger. What comes next? T. T stands for towards. What's the fourth letter? E. E stands for everyone. Fifth letter. Fifth letter. R. R stands for reaching. Sixth letter. S. S stands for success. H-A-T-E-R-S. Having anger towards everyone reaching success. That is our haters. The minute we start to reach success, anger develops within them for us. And I tell you, devotees, allow people to hate. Allow them to hate. Just don't let that hate that they show you get the better of you. Because each one of you, you're very unique and you're very beautiful and you're very precious in your own little way. Each one of you, you have your own style, your own way of doing things. And don't let anyone criticize you or change you or tell you you are not worth it and you're not good enough. Don't let anyone negativity, hatred, jealousy destroy you. It's like a little child. If I give a little child $100 bill, the child will accept it. If I crumple up the $100 bill, will the child still accept it? Okay, let me change the child. You, the devotee. If I give you a $100 bill crumple up, will you take it? Say yes, say yes. Very good. If I take that same $100 bill and I throw it on the ground and I step on it, will you accept it? Yes. If I take that same $100 bill and I throw it in mud and I pick it back up, will you still accept it? Yes. You know why? Because in the end of the day, it's $100 bill. Whether it is crumpled, whether I step on it, whether I throw it in the mud, the value does not change. And just as how the value of the $100 doesn't change, your value and what you are worth must never decrease when people step on you, must never decrease when people try to crumple you up, must never decrease when people try to push you in the mud. Just as how the $100 bill remains a $100 bill, remain who you are. Remain who you are. And our Katha tonight, it speaks and revolves around an individual who was filled with hate. And the hate that he had within him, it destroyed someone. It caused chaos and absolute destruction to someone. As we enter the pages of Ramayana, my dear devotees, I ask you all to pray as we have Ramayana Sumiran. Prem se bolo Shri Ramachandra ki Jai. Devotees, once there lived a great king by the name of Satyakeu. Satyakeu, very, very, very powerful, very, very brilliant, very loving, filled with love, filled with devotion. He was a noble leader, a noble king, a good king. People, they would look up at him, they would respect him, they would have the utmost love and positive things to say about this great king, Satyakeu. And Satyakeu, my dear friends, he had two sons who were just as powerful, just as brilliant, just as humble as him. Their names were Pratabanu and Arimardana. These two boys, similar to their father, filled with love and devotion. And one day, the father realized that it is time to step down. It is time to give up that throne, and it is time to hand over that kingdom, that power, to his eldest son, Pratabanu. And devotees, giving up your power or stepping down from your throne is one of the most difficult things to do. Because this word called power is very, very intoxicating. When we have power, many of times we misuse it and we abuse it, and we don't use it for good. We don't know when to give up or when to step down or when to hand that power over to someone. But Satyakeu, he believed that he was at that point in his life where he could hand his kingdom over to his son, for his son to now rule. He believed that his son had the power, the capability, the ability to handle the kingdom. He believed his son was very well equipped to lead the kingdom and to help everyone grow and progress and climb the ladder of success in that kingdom and in that state that they lived. So, Satyakeu decided he will step down and he would give the kingdom, the throne, to his eldest son, Pratabanu. When he gave him that throne, Satyakeu, he decided that now, with his time, he won't indulge in the power anymore. He won't indulge in the children's life and tell them what to do and how to do it. He would let them do as they please and let them rule the way they know to. He decided to leave and go to the forest region and just dedicate his life to Bhagwan, dedicate his time to Bhagwan. And he left the kingdom in the hands of his son. When his son Pratabanu took over that kingdom, the same level of respect that his father had, he now received. The same love and devotion that the kingdom and the people would give to Satyakeu, they were now giving it to Pratabanu. He was a very, very brilliant king, very powerful, very strong, very noble, and very, very brave. Very, very brave. He would never back down from a challenge. He would always help, and he would always do what he thought was best, not only for him, his own kingdom, but for the people that lived around. And that is the quality of a good leader. A true king, my dear devotees, I want you to remember this. A true king doesn't look for what he can take. A true king looks for what he can give. A true leader doesn't look for what they can take. A true leader looks for what they can give. And Pratabanu, he gave to everyone in his kingdom. They admired him, they adored him, they respected him, and they honored him. And devotees, in times of difficulties, where other kingdoms would come and challenge Pratabanu, he would gather his army and he would defeat all the other kingdoms that try to attack and try to cause harm. It is said that when he stepped on the battlefield, the army of other kings and even the kings themselves would give up the battle and flee to the forest region because they knew that they were no match for the strength of Pratabanu. They would just give up and run to that forest region and leave their kingdom. That was the fear that he instilled in the outside kingdoms. And one day, devotees, he decided to leave his kingdom and go and hunt. He went into the forest region with his horse, leaving behind everyone else. He told his minister, his favorite minister, that he is going to that forest region and hunt. The minister said, "Sir, my king, you go, you fix, you do what you have to do." Brother Banu, he left his brother, he left his minister, he left his kingdom for a short time, and he went into that forest region hunting. While hunting, my dear devotees, he came upon many animals that he chased after. And while in that forest, he saw a boar. However, he couldn't capture this boar. This boar was running. And Brother Banu, he decided, you know what? I will run after this boar. I will chase this boar until I capture this boar. Brother Banu, he took his horse in every direction the boar ran. If the boar went to the left, the horse and Brother Banu went to the left. If the horse went to the right, the boar went to the right, the horse and Brother Banu went to the right. Wherever the boar went, Brother Banu followed. The boar ran and ran and ran. And Brother Banu, he never gave up. He never stopped chasing that boar. He chased that boar deep into the forest, my dear devotees, further than he had ever ventured before. And while chasing that boar, he lost it. The boar disappeared from in front of him. He didn't know exactly where it went, and he had no choice to give up and turn around. However, he didn't know where he came from. He didn't know the direction in which he traveled. He was lost. He didn't know where to go, where to head next, which direction to return. He was lost in that forest, all alone with his horse. He was tired, he was hungry, he was thirsty, he was frustrated. He took his horse and they started to look for water. They started to look for a lake or a pond or a river where they can take a bath, they can take water. They started to look for someone who can maybe give them directions back out to the open. And as time went on, my dear devotees, Brother Banu and his horse, they are searching and they are searching and they are searching. And while searching, they happened to see a beautiful little hut. And in that hut, Brother Banu, he saw someone looking like a sage. He saw someone looking like a sage. So Brother Banu and his horse, they came across someone looking like a sage in a little hut. When Brother Banu saw this hut and he saw this individual looking like a sage, he immediately believed that he was a sage. And looks can be very deceiving. Just because someone looks like a sage doesn't mean they're a sage. Just because someone have a chulki doesn't mean they're a pandit. Brother Banu, he didn't know that. And he saw someone looking like a sage and he believed that this individual was a sage. But this individual, my dear devotees, he was the furthest thing away from a sage. He was no sage at all. Remember I told you that when Brother Banu goes into the battlefield, sometimes kings would just run into the forest region. This individual who is looking like a sage was one of those kings who ran away from the battlefield and hid in the forest region. Brother Banu didn't know that. He didn't know that this individual looking like a sage, disguised as a sage, was a king who once challenged him and who once ran away from that battlefield. When Brother Banu, he saw this individual, he saw the sage, he immediately came off of his horse and he went and he paid his respects to this individual. When the sage saw someone paying respects to him, he looked at them, and when he looked, this sage, he immediately realized that it was Brother Banu. And he immediately realized that Brother Banu did not recognize him. He realized that this disguise fooled Brother Banu. And Brother Banu didn't notice that this individual was not a sage, but was a king. Brother Banu, he paid his respects to the sage. And you know what the sage did? The sage was filled with anger. The sage was filled with hate. The sage was filled with jealousy. Why? Because Pratabanu took over his kingdom. Pratabanu scared him away from that battlefield, conquered the army in that battlefield. And now because of that, he is filled with hatred towards Pratabanu. He is filled with a little jealousy, a little bit of envy, a little bit of anger towards him. And now that he notices that Pratabanu is bowing to him, and he notices that Pratabanu does not recognize who he is, this sage realized that this is the perfect moment to take revenge. This sage realized that this is the perfect moment to take advantage of Pratabanu, to get the better of Pratabanu. And in life, my dear devotees, it is very easy for someone to take advantage of us. It is very easy for someone to take advantage of our kindness, of our love, of our respect. We do not know what people are thinking in their minds. We do not know what people have in their hearts. We may be talking nice and talking with love. We may hug you up, and in their mind, they say, wait, I'll go finish him one day. That is how the world works. We hug people who we think care for us. We hug people who we think are high in nature, high in stature, when in reality, their mind is just waiting to finish us. And Pratabanu is paying respect to this individual disguised as a sage. This individual is no sage at all. This is an evil king, and he's thinking in his mind, I will take my revenge on Pratabanu with this opportunity. Pratabanu, he looked at the sage and he said, oh my friend, I feel so fortunate to have met you. I feel like something good is about to happen. I feel like something great is about to occur. I am very, very thirsty, me and my horse. Can you please direct us to a river, a lake where we can get that water to drink, where we can take a bath? This king, this guy is as the sage. He said, okay, no problem. I will take you to where there's water. You can take your bath, drink your water, and come back. Pratabanu, he took his horse and he went to that water. He took his bath, he drank his water, he refreshed himself, and he came back. He tied his horse and he sat with this sage and he started to talk. The sage looked at Pratabanu and he decided, you know what? I will play a little game with him. I will try to get into his mind. I will try to get him to confide in me, and I will destroy him. So this sage, he looked at Pratabanu and he said, son, why someone so handsome, how someone so young and handsome like you can be in a forest region like this? Who are you? Who are you? Where have you come from? Who are you? And why are you here in this forest region? Pratabanu, he looks at the sage and he's trying to figure out, should I tell the sage that I am a king? Should I tell the sage that I am a great warrior, great fighter? Listen to what Pratabanu does. Pratabanu, he looked at the sage and he said, I am a messenger of a great king known as Pratabanu. He lied. He didn't want to tell the sage who he really is. He said, I am the messenger of a great king by the name of Pratabanu. The sage, he looked at him and he smiled, because the sage knew he's lying. He looked at him and he smiled and he said, Acha, so then what are you doing in this region if you are a messenger of Pratabanu? Why are you here? Pratabanu, he started to narrate how he arrived here, the entire katha. And while they are talking, he starts to talk to the sage with love and devotion. And this sage is playing the game with him, and he starts to also talk with love and devotion. The sage, this guy is, of course, he starts to talk about the scriptures. He starts to talk about the Vedas and the Puranas. He starts to talk about Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Everything that is religious and spiritual, this evil king, this individual, this guy as a sage, starts to talk to Pratabanu. Pratabanu, listening to the words of the sage, he realized that this sage is very, very powerful. He realized that this sage is very knowledgeable. Poor Pratabanu doesn't know it's an act. He doesn't know it's just a trick. The sage continues to talk and continues to show the amount of knowledge he has. He's trying to win over the love, win over the trust of Pratabhanu, for Pratabhanu to confide in him. And he's listening to everything the sage is saying, and he's falling more and more intoxicated with the words of the sage. While they are talking, Pratabhanu, he looks at him and he said, "O sage, O great one, who are you? What is your name? What is your name?" So now the sage, he's afraid to say his actual name, because if he says his actual name, Pratabhanu might figure it out. So he makes up a name and he tells Pratabhanu. He says, "Oh son, I have been here in this forest from the time I am born. I have never died. I am in this one body for years upon years. I know everything. I see everything. And I even know that you are lying to me. I even know that you are no messenger of Pratabhanu. I know that you are Pratabhanu himself." When Pratabhanu heard the words of the sage, he was shocked. He was shocked to know that the sage has so much power, so much wisdom, so much knowledge, that he knew that he was lying. Pratabhanu, he fell for that trick of that sage, that evil king disguised. And he started to confide in him, my dear devotees. He started to talk to him. And when he realized that Pratabhanu was falling for the trickery, the sage started to speak with more love and more devotion to get him more intoxicated with him. To the point where Pratabhanu, he realized that this was a great blessing. And he didn't want to waste this moment. He looked at the sage and he said, "Oh sage, I want to ask you for a boon. I want to ask you for a blessing. I want you to fulfill this blessing. Grant me this boon." The sage, he smiled and he said, Ask for whatever it is you desire. Tell me." Pratabhanu, he looked at him and he said, "I don't want to die. I don't want to be defeated in battle. I don't want to have any sort of enemies. I want to be always very, very powerful, very, very strong." This was the wish of Pratabhanu, and he's telling this individual disguised as a sage, this is his wish. He said, "I want to be very powerful. I want to destroy and win all of my battles. I don't want to have any enemies whatsoever. Can you grant me that boon? Can you grant me that wish?" The sage, he looked at Pratabhanu and he said, "Son, if this is your wish and if this is your desire, I will fulfill it. However, there's something that is hindering us. There's something that will be a problem." He said, "In order for your wish to be fulfilled, in order for you to gain this boon, you must get the blessing of the Brahmins. You must get the Brahmins to be on your side. You must get the Brahmins to support you." Pratabhanu said, "Why? Why must I get the Brahmins on my side?" This individual disguised as a sage, he said, "Because when you have the Brahmins on your side, they are so powerful that even Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva will respect you. That is the power of the Brahmins. They have so much knowledge, so much wisdom, so much education, so much brilliance, that when they are your servant and they are listening to you, you will get everything you want. And once you can get the Brahmins on your side, you will get that boon to be very powerful, to destroy everyone in your every battle, every war that you face, and you will never have any enemies once you have the Brahmins on your side. However, if you do something wrong and you get a curse from the Brahman, all hope is lost. Because when a Brahman curses you, there's nothing you can do to change that. There's nothing you can do to undo that curse, to remove that curse when you get that shrap from a Brahman." He continued to say, "Pratabhanu, under no circumstances talk about what we are talking here right now. Keep it our little secret. Don't let the Brahmins know, because if they know, they will curse you. And when they curse you, you won't get that boon that you want. You won't get that wish that you want to achieve." Pratabhanu, he said, "Okay, no problem. How do we go about getting the Brahmins on my side. What must we do? What must we do? And these are the words of Pratabhanu. The sage, he looks at him and he said, all we can do, the simplest things we can do, is invite the Brahmins to your home and feed them. Invite the Brahmins to your home and feed them. And when they eat the food that is prepared, they will be under your spell, under your trance. They will be intoxicated and listen to everything. They will be at your command. You will have them in your hands. However, there's another problem. In order to make this happen, I, the sage, have to go and prepare that food. No one else can prepare it but me. So Pratabhanu said, so why don't you come? Why don't you come back to my kingdom and prepare the food, and I will invite the Brahmins. You prepare the food and we will get them to listen to us. The sage said, the problem is, I don't go by anyone. I don't leave the forest region. So Pratabhanu said, but in order for my wish to be fulfilled, you will have to make this sacrifice for me. Please, O Great One, please make this sacrifice and come to my home and do this for me. Prepare the food and I will invite the Brahmins. Do this for me. The sage, he just wanted to hear the words of Pratabhanu. He wanted to hear those words. And he said, okay, I will come, but I won't come in this form. I will disguise myself. And when I disguise myself and I come to you, I will tell you and I will remind you of our conversation today. So you will know exactly what is taking place. You will know exactly that the plan is in motion. Pratabhanu, he was absolutely overjoyed, absolutely happy with the words of the sage. He couldn't wait to begin preparations to get the Brahmins and of course to have them under his control. The sage, he looked at Pratabhanu and he said, son, it is getting very, very late. Go and take your rest. And when you take your rest, we will organize from the morning. Pratabhanu, he goes to take his sleep. And as he goes to take his sleep, my dear devotees, the wild boar that he was chasing, the wild boar that has him in the situation he is right now, reappeared. Listen to what takes place. That boar reappeared, but he didn't reappear in the form of a boar. He reappeared in the form of a demon, because that boar was a great Rakshas by the name of Satyakeu, and he was just part of the illusion into tricking Pratabhanu. So Satyakeu, he arrived by the sage. He's looking at Pratabhanu sleeping, and the sage says, oh Satyakeu, everything is in motion. Everything is happening the way we want it to happen. We have the king under our control. What I need you to do for me is take him back home. Carry him back to his kingdom. Disguise yourself in the form of a priest. Prepare the meals for the Brahmins, and we will take revenge on the king. Because the meal you're about to prepare for the Brahmins is no ordinary meal. It's very tamasic, it's very negative, filled with a lot of toxic things. Things that Brahmins are not supposed to eat. Satyakeu, he said, okay, I will go, I will take Pratabhanu back home, and in the morning, I will disguise as the form of a sage, and we will put everything in motion to destroy him. Satyakeu, he took up Pratabhanu while he is sleeping, and he took him straight back to his kingdom. He put him on his bed to continue his sleep. When Pratabhanu woke up the next morning, he found himself home, but he knew it had to be the sage. He got up and he quickly went outside. He started to look around, and while looking around, he saw the priest. The priest called him. He went and he started to speak, and the priest reminded him of everything that they spoke about the other night. Pratabhanu immediately realized that this was the same sage he spoke to, not realizing that this was really Satyakeu, the boar that he was chasing. Pratabhanu, listening to the words of his priest, listened to everything he said. He went and he invited 100,000 Brahmins to come to his home. He put them all to sit. He treated them with love. He treated them with respect, my dear devotees. And the sage was preparing, the priest, started to prepare the meals for the Brahmins to eat. Kalaketu, disguised as this priest, he made everything. But he didn't make it in a proper way. He made it in a very negative way. Put things that are not supposed to be eaten. He took it out and he gave it to the Brahmins. He served them. And as the Brahmins were about to eat this negative thing that was made by this priest, Kalaketu, the same priest, he spoke, hiding behind something. He spoke. He said, "Oh Brahmins, run. Get up and run. Do not, under any circumstances, eat what has been served by that king." The Brahmins, they quickly got up and they're looking for where that voice is coming from. Kalaketu, he's hiding and he's speaking, "Get up and run. Don't indulge in what that king is serving you." Because that king has put tamasic, negative things in that meal. He has put things that are not fit for a Brahmin to eat. And when the Brahmins heard this, my dear devotees, they were filled with rage. They looked at the king and they said, "Oh king, oh Pratabhanu, how dare you? How dare you make this meal? How dare you prepare this meal with negative, toxic things that are not fit for eating? You should be ashamed of yourself. And for doing this, oh Pratabhanu, we sharape you. We put a curse upon you that you will lose everything that you have. You will be born as a Rakshas. Your entire family, your brother, your ministers, your entire kingdom will be born as Rakshasas, will be born as demons for your wrongdoing. How dare you prepare something that is negative, that is not fit for eating for us as Brahmins? For that you will have to suffer. For that you will have to pay for the wrong that you have just done." Pratabhanu immediately fell to the ground. Remembering the words of the sage he met, the sage told him, "Under no circumstances let the Brahmins curse you. Because when the Brahmins curse you, you cannot reverse that curse." And the exact thing he didn't want to happen, it happened. He was now cursed by the Brahmins. He said, "No, it wasn't me. I wasn't the one who created this. I wasn't the one who served you this negative thing. It wasn't me." But it was too late, my dear devotees. It was too late. Nothing could have been done at that point in time. Nothing could have been changed at that point in time. Nothing could have been reversed at that point in time. The king was about to face his doom. The desire of the sage that he met in the forest, the desire of Kalaketu, was coming to fruition. They wanted to destroy the king because they hated him for what he had done. They hated him for taking their kingdom. They hated him for ruling and being so brave and so strong and fearless, that now their hate that they had within them has completely destroyed this king. He has now gotten this curse from this Brahman, and there's nothing that he can do about it. The words of the Brahmins could not be reversed. The words of the Brahmins could not be taken aback. Pratabhanu, all he wanted was to keep his power. All he wanted was to never die. All he wanted was to rule for many years to come. All he wanted was to defeat everyone in battle. And all he was told to do is not get a curse from the Brahmins. But Pratabhanu, he failed in that aspect, not on his own behalf, but by the doing of the sage, by the doing of Kalaketu. And there was nothing Pratabhanu could have done about it, my dear devotees. The minute that curse was given, Kalaketu and that sage, they went and they started to tell all the kingdoms, all the princes, all the kings, all the armies, go and attack Pratabhanu. Go and attack his kingdom. Right now, he is at his weakest. Right now, he is about to face his downfall. He cannot do nothing. He will not be able to defeat you. Go and win that battle. Go and conquer. Go and take everything that you have lost. Kingdoms from far and near, they started to attack the kingdom of Pratabhanu. And Pratabhanu, he could have done nothing. He had his limited time. He knew that he had no strength anymore. He knew that he had no power anymore. All the might that he possessed started to disappear slowly but surely. All the other kingdoms, they came, and one by one his army started to fall. One by one, the kingdom started to defeat the entire army, the entire kingdom of Pratabhanu. And before you know it, my dear devotees, the brother of Pratabhanu was destroyed. The ministers of Pratabhanu was destroyed. Pratabhanu himself, he fell on that battlefield. He lost all the battles that came his way, and he fell on that battlefield. The words of the Brahmins were about to come true. Listen to what happened to Pratabhanu. Listen to what happened to the brother of Pratabhanu. Listen to what happened to the entire kingdom of Pratabhanu. As Pratabhanu fell on that battlefield, his body unconscious on that ground. Listen to who he was reborn as. It is said he was reborn as a Rakshas. The words of the Brahmins came true. Pratabhanu was reborn as a Rakshas. But not just any Rakshas, not just any demon. He was reborn as a demon that was one of the most powerful, one of the most destructive, one of the most dangerous demons to ever walk on this earth. He was reborn as a demon that was sent to bring chaos. He was reborn as a demon that was sent to bring disruption and corruption and destruction to those who he met. He was reborn as a demon to fight the battle in Lanka with Prabhu Sri Ram. Pratabhanu, my dear devotees, he was reborn as the king of Lanka. His name was Ravan. Bhanu was reborn as the king of Lanka. His name was Ravan. His brother was reborn as the mighty Kumbhakaran. His minister was reborn as the loving and devoted Vibhishan. And all his army and all the ministers and people in his kingdom, they were reborn as the Rakshasas that lived in Lanka. Pratabhanu, a great king, respected by everyone in his kingdom. However, with the kind of life he lived and the kind of king he was, it was very easy for him to get hate. It was very easy for people to get jealous of him. And sadly, people, the wrong person, I should say, filled with hate, became the reason Pratabhanu was destroyed. The wrong person filled with jealousy became the reason Pratabhanu, a noble king, turned into one of the most dangerous demons to exist. Hate that is built within you, my dear devotees, it brings nothing good. It brings nothing good for yourself nor for anyone else. The hatred that this sage and Kalaketu had turned Pratabhanu and his entire kingdom into Rakshasas. All because of what they did, all because of the curse that the Brahmins gave. Hatred will get you nowhere. Hatred, my dear devotees, will never allow you to climb the ladder of success. It might feel good to get revenge, but it gets you nowhere. It gets you nowhere. And Pratabhanu, innocently, he had nothing to do with the meals that were prepared for the Brahmins. He had to pay the consequences. He had to pay the consequences. My simple message to you tonight, my dear devotees, remove that hate from within you. Because it won't only destroy yourself, but your hate and your anger and your jealousy can destroy the people around you. Your hate, your anger, your jealousy can destroy relationships, can destroy friendships, that can destroy any sort of bridges that you are trying to build. Don't allow your hatred, your anger, your jealousy to get the better of you. Remove that hate and only be filled with love. It gets you absolutely nowhere. And with this, my dear devotees, we conclude tonight. Prem se bolo Shri Ramachandra ki jai.